but it will be good. I will stay on track. If anybody has seen me present in the past, because I see some familiar names up there today, you will have seen me walk a lot. So this is something I need to focus on. I'm grounded, I'm in my seat, and hopefully I can connect my thoughts properly while my tuchus is in the seat. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys. In case I forget to do it at the presentation, once the I survived adrenaline kicks in, sometimes I forget to say this. I realize that today is the day before a long weekend, and long weekends are awesome. So thank you for taking the time out of your morning. I will keep it on track. We're hoping to do about an hour and a half. So yes, it will be an hour and a half of your life that you may never, well, you will never get back. But I am really hoping that that hour and a half is one you didn't mind losing and that you walked away with some good information. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we are going to get started. I am, let's see, screen share. That's right, it's my singing is awesome. We'll go into presentation mode. Here we go. My presentation today. So there's a couple of things I'd like to tell you about it. I am a visual person. So I am an individual when things are very text heavy. I have a tendency to miss the content of a presentation because I'm so busy reading while trying to listen. So a lot of the presentation today is a picture, which will prompt me hopefully to say something you can chuckle about. And from those pictures, we'll have that conversation. The information, I want you guys to worry. I really want you to be able to sit and enjoy the presentation. We do have some activities and I'm gonna give a little talk about that in a minute. I don't want you to have to focus on writing notes. Once this presentation is done, there will be sent out summary notes of the presentation. So everything that I talk about today will be in one handy quick reference document and you'll be able to refer back to it. As Melissa had said as well, she will be, or the session will be recorded and of course you can access it after. So let's just jump right into it. Who the heck am I and why do you want to spend an hour and a half with me? So yes, Amber Hennig, I am the assistant manager of Greenview FCSS. And what the heck do I know about creativity? I've been described as a creative person through my experience in time. I've been in the FCSS world for, I think I'm just over 13 years now. And in that time, I have done a variety of roles. So programming, working with teams, working collaboratively to establish groups or coalitions. It has been such a beautiful experience and I have seen such a wide range of creativity and the beautiful things that can be created when people come together. So that's who I am. I hope that you enjoy this. And again, really struggling with sitting in my chair because I am a walker when I talk, but we will head to our first slide. So who, me, creative? Today, you may be sitting here and you may be thinking to yourself, I'm one of those people. I'm not a creative person. I don't believe that. I have a personal belief and preparing for this presentation today, I wanted to do some research and see if I could find some science that would back up my belief that we are all born creative. I went down the rabbit hole. That's right. I went on the internet. And I got to tell you, for every article I found that says to you, yeah, people are born creative. This is something that comes with you. It is a gift. I would find an article that says, you are not born creative. You need to develop it. So who, me, creative? I think today that choice is yours. What I'm going to ask you to do is to listen to what's being said. And ultimately, you're going to make a decision at the end if you can be creative. I'm going to give you some tools and we're going to do some things that hopefully will generate or give you ways that you can maybe grow that creativity if you feel that it's an area you've lacked on in the past. I will tell you this, in my time, and I have worked with a variety of people, I have seen highly creative people. These are the people that when they enter a room or conversation, or they come to you with a program or a service idea, man, they are just nailing it. They have got a concept, they have got a plan, and it's unique and it's beautiful, and you get excited about it. And I've seen other people and worked with other people who are quiet. They're very linear thinkers. They're very checklist and to-do list oriented. And those individuals who may not have been viewed as creative have actually, I've seen it happen where the highly creative person has floundered. They just hit a wall. And that person that you didn't expect joins them and boosts them up. And so what was viewed as uncreative person creatively will boost up that creative person. So I do believe it exists in all of us. I realize I forgot to mention the activities. Now, the other thing that I've discovered over the years is when people enter a group scenario and you hear the word group activity, for some, they embrace it. They're willing to jump in and they want to give, their input and contribute. And for others, it can cause a little bit of anxiety sometimes, or it can make them uncomfortable. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable today. The activities are pretty simple. Most of them are something you're going to do right at your desk. I will tell you the very last activity we have today, we are going to be placing you guys in breakout rooms. You'll have 10 minutes in that breakout room. And I want you to find your comfort level when you're in there. You may be an individual who doesn't say something in that breakout room, and that's okay too, because some of us process. And if you are going to jump in, I'm hoping that conversation is very robust. It won't be a long breakout session. So I don't want anyone to worry about it. So simple activities, and wherever you're at is acceptable during this presentation. At the end of the presentation, there will be some time. I called it a roundtable, but I think we'll open it up for questions. Should anybody have questions about the information I've presented today? And then we will be done. So the who, me, creative, we covered that. Are you creative? Are you not creative? Do you believe you are? I believe that everybody can foster creativity. And I think it's important to foster creativity within yourself and with your team. You're going to hear me talk about team quite a bit, and I will get into that later on as to why I think that that's important. But let's look at creativity a little bit and what it means. And for some reason, I can't advance my slide. Hold on. And close this. Can I advance? My slide is stuck. Oh, Melissa, do you know why my slide might be stuck?
Maybe stop sharing and maybe try and reshare. I don't know.
Okay, sure. Let's try it again. Here we go. And I'll share again. Let's see. Oh, nope, my slide is stuck. Oh, here we go. I got it. I think I got it.
There you go. Perfect.
Here we go. There it is. I was just pushing the wrong button. Okay, so creativity. I am going to ask you to do something for me today. Creativity, and I want to thank some of my coworkers. When I was creating this presentation, it went through several eyes and I got input from several people. And one of my coworkers had actually said to me, the problem with creativity is that we are raised and we are trained to believe that creativity is directly linked to the arts, sculpture, dance, painting. We view these things and we see these things as creative. Today, what I would like you to do is take any hand you got. And remember, if your video is on, I can't even see you, so you might not be doing it, and that's okay too. But take any hand you got, find a nice space on your table or your desk. I want you to pretend this creativity definition is on that table with you. And I want you to take your hand and I want you to smash it. Oh, I smashed a little too hard, but that's okay. Creativity is not just the arts. Creativity can be found everywhere. Think about a time, maybe you had a presentation, you were on your way to a meeting, you had documents you had to print, your printer stops working, and you're like, holy smokes, what am I going to do? You would have found a creative solution to get those documents printed. If you couldn't find a way to get them printed, you would have come up with a maybe not necessarily a creative way, potentially creative way to replace those documents during that meeting or to provide those documents after the meeting. Creativity exists in your homes. It exists in your family. It exists everywhere. And it's such an incredibly powerful tool. Kids are highly creative. Think about, and this one is from personal experience, the chocolate that you really don't want to share with your children that you put in a cupboard, and you are positive that they will never reach it, and you'll walk out to the kitchen and there's your kid eating your chocolate. That is creativity in action. You find a way to get things done. Some people may view it as problem solving, and that's okay too. It all requires that creative muscle in our head. I look forward to, and I hope that today you will walk away with some tools that are going to remind you of just how easy it is to find creativity and how we can foster it in ourselves to make it bigger than what's already there. I also realized in this camera, I touch my hair a lot, so I'll fix that. So today, what is this all about? Today, I want to take you from this. Whoa, let me go back. I hit the button. I want to take you from this. This is the holy smokes. Why am I at work? I've got nothing left. I have done everything and I have no more ideas. To, and I love this image, to this guy. This guy cracks me up. He's young and he is full of hope. And I'm pretty sure he just paid off his student loan. So he is excited. And that's what I'm hoping to do for you today. Let's take you from the holy smokes, what am I doing, to the whoa, I got this. So what are we going to do today? We are going to talk about these areas. So we're going to go into environment. We're going to talk about our physical and our human aspects in an environment. We're going to talk about creativity killers. Who are they? And what the heck do we do about them? The activities are peppered throughout the presentation. So again, we will be asking for some participation on that. Please do that within your comfort level. Creativity it flourishes, I think, when we're not nervous. So activities, I would appreciate participation, but if you're not there, that's okay too. And then at the end, I did say roundtable, but I think we'll open it up to questions if we have time. If anybody has questions about the content that I have delivered today, I would be happy to answer them. I'm not saying they'd be good answers, but I will give you an answer. All right. So let's get into it. Our very first activity. A very simple activity. Here's what I want you to do. You haven't been sitting very long. I just want you to give a movement. Now remember, cameras are off. If they're on, we can see you and that's okay too. Movement, any movement you've got. That might be getting up and it might be moving around. You might be doing what I like to call, sometimes it puts me in a good mood. My kid used to, when she was little, do this little butt dance that made me laugh. It still makes me laugh. I just want you to move your body a little bit. Throughout your day when you're moving, it's not always realistic to get up and go for a walk. We all have busy schedules. We all have commitments that we have to meet. If you're at your desk, try a silly movement. Do something different with your arms. Move your body in a way that it doesn't normally move. The older I get, the less I think those movements become a more, let's just say, cautious because I'm not quite as bendy as I used to be. I am going to suggest a movement that makes me giggle, that you can try, and you may not have enough space where you are and you don't have to do it now, but I would give you a challenge. At some point today, I would love for you to try skipping. This is not with a skip rope. This is just a straight up, can you skip across a room? I gotta tell you, the last couple of years, I received some certification. It's this dance thing. I won't go into that, but there's a lot of skipping in these songs. So for every song, there's choreo. And I realized that I had forgotten how to skip. And it felt really awkward. But then once I started skipping across a room, it was so freeing. It's such a fun little movement. So that would be my challenge for you to try today. Try skipping. If skipping isn't it, break into a hardcore gallop. And if you can't feel a little silly and funny about galloping through your house, I don't know what you'll feel silly about. So yeah, activity. I'm going to count to 3. I want you to give it a little bit of movement. We're just going to give it a couple of seconds, and then we will move on to our next slide in the presentation. So count to 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Any movement you got, just move your body in a way that you wouldn't normally move it. Okay, well, I used to do this in the 90s. If anybody knows Vogue by Madonna, Vogue. But the movement you got. All right, shake it out, refocus. We're going to move on to the next slide. So the first area that we're going to talk about, of course, is environment. Human aspects, physical aspects. I love this image so much. One, I'm a hardcore believer in the power of nature and being in nature and the healing qualities of nature, which is probably what resonates with me when I look at it. But the thing that I really liked is the promise that I see and hope in this picture, with fresh green shoots coming out of the ground. So when we talk about environment, how would we grow a creative environment? Again, we have our physical and we have our human aspects. The physical aspects, what does your building look like? We don't really care what the outside of our buildings look like. Well, maybe some people do, but for the most part, let's face it, it's 4 walls and a roof. We know that when we go in there, we have a space where we work. There is a computer, there are lights, there are noises, there are people. And the best thing of all about our physical environment is a funny little thing in life that when we show up, we get paid. So that's super awesome. So a physical environment. Let's take a look at what we can do. I am not going to spend a lot of time on physical aspects. I think the human aspects are a lot more important to an environment. So this is what we want. I love this. What do we want? And when we think of what is a creative space, this picture cracks me up. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know if you can see it, but in the background, there's like a fireplace on the wall. They've got like these amazing little stations. This hammock dude, the amount of envy I have against this hammock dude would make you crazy. I just love hammock dude. There's a giant whiteboard, like an entire wall of whiteboard. This is an amazing environment, and one that, you know, we think this is what we need to foster creativity. It's free thinking, it's not conformed, the walls aren't restricting. But the reality is that this is not what we deal with. This is what we want, and this is what we get. Now, I picked this picture, and I think the reason this picture resonates with me, everybody's offices are different. I get that. When you deal with small rural communities, often you're also dealing with a budget that is relevant to the size of the community. And we end up in spaces like this. I kid you not, there was a time before we became MD, my office chair was actually a broken chair somebody had put in the hallway. And that is what I used for quite a long time. And what is this office environment? How can you possibly be creative in an environment like this? And this is why I wanted to talk about human aspects. I will tell you, creativity can happen in places like this because creativity isn't the hardcore things around you. Creativity is inside you, but there are things you can do that make you comfortable in that space. So for many years, My office was located in a rec center. It was a small office. It smelled of feet no matter what I did. And it was located directly beside the fitness center. So my creative space smelled like sweat. And often throughout the day, what I would hear in my space is men grunting while they lifted really heavy weights and weights dropping. In that office, though, we did some really amazing things. We ran community events. We created programming that was applicable for all ages, all the way from birth to 99. And it was good programming. What are some of the things you can do? So here are some really budget-friendly, simple things that you can do in your office. Now, I know you can read them, and I'm sure that many of you are just kind of going through them right now. And they may seem like, what would we refer them to? No-brainers, if you will. But sometimes a little bit of a reminder of things that we can do. I am going to do a huge disclaimer on this piece of the physical environment. The one thing to consider in your physical environment is, how are you impacting the people around you in a work environment? So while something may foster your creativity, my coworker Crystal will appreciate this. So when we talk about aroma, I love the smell of patchouli for reasons I won't get into. My coworker, I swear you can see her curl up into a ball when I walk in wearing my perfume that smells like that. So physical environment, you've got to consider the people that are around you and what is acceptable in your own organization, because there are different levels or standards within every organization. But some very simple things that you can do. Physical environment, change where you sit. Believe it or not, sometimes sitting on the floor can help. I am a person that likes to move around, as I mentioned. Sometimes I will take my laptop and I will actually go and sit in a different office, just for a different perspective. It takes that break of what's in front of me, what I look at every day, what I take for granted every day, and I'm now looking at something different. Sometimes it can help. Temperature, I don't know if anybody's experienced this. So it's either too hot or too cold. I am an individual that's always cold. There are things that you can do. If it's acceptable in your workplace, a blanket. I actually have a blanket for Christmas. I was gifted, thank you very much, an hoodie. So it's a big hood. Now, do I wear this when people are in the office? No. Do I wear it to meetings? No. But if I have to sit down and my office door is closed and I have to really focus on a project, or I'm trying to come up with stuff, if I'm cold, I can't think. All I can think about is how cold I am. So I slip on my hoodie. Not going to lie to you, I look a little ridiculous. I look like one of the sand people out of Star Wars. It's just like this big hood, but I love it. Music. Music is another thing that we can do. Something to keep in mind with music is some music can be very offensive to individuals. If you do play music when you're at your desk, if that is allowed, remember your volume. That's just common courtesy. And what exactly are you listening to? Another thing that you can do with music, and a little break that you can take, is if you have headphones, find a nice quiet place, someplace where you feel comfortable, and do a little dance. Put on your favorite song and just go crazy. Close your office door, close your windows, do the best dance you got. The thing about it is you can't do it wrong. It's your moves. Let that music move through you. Music for me is a huge inspiration. It can, within the first few notes of a song, completely change my mood. Completely change my mood. So music is a consideration for sure. Aroma, we kind of talked about that. Be very, very careful of the scents that you bring into your office. If they're even allowed, keep in mind that people may have allergies as well. But if you can do it, maybe put a scent in there that makes you happy. Except I would highly recommend, if you didn't bring snacks, don't put any of them food scent types in your office, like baked apple pie, because the next thing you know, you are eating everything you can to fill the absence of that baked apple pie. That's my warning. Take it outside. I mentioned in the first slide about environment. When you're outside, what is nature? Oh, nature is growth. I am sure there are several people on this phone call that know the benefits of nature. If it's not something that you have an opportunity to get out and do, I highly recommend that you do it. It is a complete reset in such a natural and affordable way. If you have green space in your office, is it acceptable for yourself, either by your leadership or for the people that you lead, occasionally take their work and conduct it outside in a green space? Now, I also realize that a lot of people, or there may be people on the call, in an urban setting where you don't have easy access to green space. But sometimes, if you can even find a bench or something in an urban setting, what are you doing in that outdoor space? You are lighting up your senses. You are hearing different things. You are feeling on your skin different things. You're smelling different things. It's just to break, I guess, the monotony of where you're at. So taking it outside. Lighting. I can tell you safely, in the office I work in, I am actually borrowing a room right now. This is not my office. We have table lamps on our desks. I prefer to use my table lamp instead of the fluorescent lights. I find it calming and I find it comforting, and I find it conducive to helping me think. The fluorescent lights I just find very harsh. So lighting, very simple. Put a table lamp on your desk. So that's your physical environment. Now we get to get into a little activity. Oh, go back, Amber. Oh, wow, I am like button happy today. An activity. So we crushed what we thought of creativity. We've talked a little bit about looking for creativity. We're going to rebuild that through some activities today. Let's build our creativity. So where do you pull creativity from? I'm a huge reader, and you're actually going to see that in one of the slides later on. So the other night, first no in Grand Cache, my best ideas seem to come at 11 o'clock at night. And I don't know why, and it's always 11 o'clock at night. So if the lights dim in town, it's because Amber had an idea. But this activity was actually generated from a book. It's a spin-off of a concept that was in a book I read. I am a murder mystery fan. The book is called One by One. It's written by a wonderful woman named Ruth Ware. If you are a murder mystery fan, highly recommend her. Anyways, one of the aspects in this book was a tech company that had created an app for music, and people could sign on to this application on their phones, and they would see a song, and then they could see what other, I guess, celebrities or famous people are listening to that song. That's just one piece of the whole book. Trust me, there was, bodies and a whodunit in there. But I was thinking about that concept, and then I was thinking about what music does for me. And then I was thinking about what music does for everybody. So FCSS AA is, and in my 13 years, a powerhouse of protest that my life path has put me on the same road, because everybody I've met, and we've got a number of people on the call today, everybody, bar none, that I have ever met in the FCSS world are amazing people. I think that each one of you, if there is a song and something, not something, but a song that makes you feel good, I thought, wouldn't this be fun if we created an FCSS AA creativity playlist? There are songs that boost us up and make us happy. So what I'm going to ask for this activity is super easy participation. One of my coworkers, Crystal, is going to capture this information for us. I am going to ask in the chat box that you type in a name and the artist of a song that makes you feel good. What we're going to do with that list is Crystal is going to, and we will send the link after the presentation, create a Spotify playlist that you will be able to access and feel and know the creativity and the power and the hope and the passion that drives this amazing FCSS AA community will be captured in the music that people love. I had already given Crystal mine. I am not putting mine in the chat. But she is going to put it in there for me. I will tell you, it's The Champion by Carrie Underwood. I freaking love that song. So I'm going to give a couple of seconds here. And if you haven't done so already, I want you to put that song in there. Any song, whatever comes to your mind. And I'm going to take a drink of water. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm hitting the caffeine because, you know, I can. All right. Oh, there it is. All right. Fishing in the Dark, freaking classic. I love that thing. Oh my God. The memories I'm having from that song. Good times, good times. Walking on Sunshine. I totally do that. I can do that. Oh, these are amazing. This is going to be the most kick butt. I did not use profanity. ABBA. Yeah. Dancing Queen. True story. My daughter is such a sweet kid. One year, she got me a record player for Christmas, and she got me an ABBA album. Oh my God, Super Trooper. Man, I made her listen to that thing and like clean the house with me. It was awesome. Oh, Savage Love. This is going to be the best playlist. So what I'm going to do, again, as a reminder, is we will compile this list. It will be a Spotify playlist. So if you don't have Spotify and you're an iTunes user, you will also have a complete list of the songs and their artists, and you can pick and choose from there. And hopefully, on a rainy day or a day where you're thinking, holy man, and you're doing the lady, remember this lady, we all remember that lady, pop on this playlist and know somewhere at some point, one of these amazing people on this call today use that song as an inspiration to build them up and make them feel good. That is fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for participating. That's amazing. All right, now we're going to, please keep adding them to chat. We will get that stuff to you after. I am going to move on to our next slide so that I can make sure I get you guys out of here on time. Human aspects. Oh my goodness. This is the stuff that lives in us, isn't it? It's the stuff that we experience. It's the stuff that lives with everybody. Here's what I'm going to tell you about human aspects. And you have to excuse me. I have like cheat sheets beside me. So I'm just going to catch up with my sheets. So there are things about humans that we can control, like driving. When we drive, we are in control of our vehicle. We know when we need to turn on our signal light. We know when we need to go faster. We know when we need to brake. I just, I got to tell you, this hand gripping this handle reminds me of my kid when she started to drive. Know that if you could have seen the passenger seat, it was me gripping the door handle. Because yeah, I was nervous, but you can control that when you're in a car, and human aspects are like that. There are things that we can control. So making time. Now, some people on this call, and believe me when I say I have been there. When I said making time, your first thought might have been, yeah, right. When am I going to make time? Do you have any idea how much stuff I have got to do? My list is big. Things are falling off my plate. And I just don't know that that's real. Making time is a conscious decision. Prioritizing, which is something I guarantee you everybody on this call does every day when you get in. You get bombarded and now you're prioritizing. We do it like breathing, right? If you have to, schedule that time on your calendar. And it doesn't have to be a big chunk of time. You got to allow time. It may be a minute where you take to yourself. It could be, maybe you need to block out 10 minutes. Maybe that's a half an hour. this is a very adaptable process. But if you don't consciously choose to allot time for creativity to grow, it won't happen, because we can fill our days fast. And we all know that. If anybody knows a bit about my background, one of my, if you don't, I'm about to share with you. So there you have it. My background. So something that I am super passionate about. There are two things that really in the beginning of my career really drove me and still remain core passions. One, kids and play, and child development is at my heart, always has been. The other thing that really drives me is play and the concept that we need to laugh. One of the reasons I had brought up this presentation, and I really sincerely hope, because I can't see anybody, in my mind's eye, you guys are all laughing and holding your belly, because it's funny. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is to reintroduce the concept of being a little silly and playing a little. It doesn't just foster creativity, it's good for your mental health. Injecting play into your work day. What does that mean? Does that mean you're busting out the hula hoop and then wondering how you threw your hip out? No, don't do that. Because then if you're filling out an incident report and it's a whole big thing. You can inject it in very fun ways. I work with an amazing group of people who make me smile. And they inject play in the simplest of ways, whether it's like a quick share of something that they found funny. Sometimes we just make jokes. There's so many ways that you can just lighten the mood. If you don't want to think of it so much as play, think about it. What makes you laugh? Laughing is such a good thing. Let it loose and be okay with that. We work in a serious world. The issues that we deal with are at times dark. I can guarantee you heavy. And we're carrying this, and we want to fix this, and we want to lift it up, and we want to make things better. Sometimes we need to just put it on the shelf and have a little bit of fun, because when you feel good, you come back, you're going to find it's not quite as heavy. So inject play. Practice. Making time, practice, they kind of go hand in hand, kissing cousins, if you will. Practice it. Make it a part of your life. It may be hard to do, but like anything, the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. A month ago, I kid you not, do 2 push-ups. And I am now up to 30. And why? Because I practiced them. And I am training my body. I'm sorry I laughed about that. If anybody's ever met me, I'm not like, please don't think I'm a marathon runner. That's not a thing. But I'm training the muscles in my body to get used to that foreign movement. I am not a push-up person. I wasn't a push-up person. But much like creativity, when you practice it, you're now training the best muscle in your body, which is your brain. So practice. Celebrate your wins. Something that I have noticed consistently through FCSS world is we are pretty humble people. We do things and we're super happy with them, and we're proud of what we did, and we know we made a difference. We know there's been impact, and we go home at the end of the day and we're like, man, I nailed it. This is what my community or that individual is better because of the actions I did. Here's what we do. We don't really share our wins. Celebrate your wins. I'm not saying you need to take out a poster, you need to put on social media pages, the number of people that participated or all these fantastic outcomes that happened. I'm talking about those little wins and recognizing them. So when you talk about environments and human aspects, you yourself and everything you do and how you conduct yourself is one of the human aspects for somebody else. So Amber, the person, how I conduct myself impacts the creativity of the people around me. It all feeds together. And if you think that you work in a silo, you don't, because we are humans and we pick up on the energy around us. So sometimes celebrating our little wins are ways that we lift people up. And I'm going to be honest. I don't know if anybody's ever had this happen. And I'm sorry, I just realized there's a big smudge on my glasses and I have to take it off because it's distracting me. Either that or the room's haunted and there's a ghost floating in front of me. Let's hope it's not that. Some days your coworkers, and I speak for myself, I swear to you, me walking through the door and being on time for work and being present and ready to work is a win. We all have lives and we all have things that we deal with. That is a win. Celebrate that. Whether you notice it in a staff member that, you know, hey man, I'm glad you're here today. That's a win. It can be. So celebrate your little wins, celebrate your big wins. Just make sure you recognize them. Don't downplay them. Don't do that because they are wins. The other thing that we can control, risk taking. It's important to take risks. I read a quote and I'm going to butcher it and I can't remember who said it, so it's probably good that I butcher it. But basically, it was a quote. It said something along the lines of creativity dies in your comfort zone. And I thought, oh my goodness, actually, my first thought was, that's a little harsh. I like my comfort zone, but sometimes we do need to take risks. In fact, when you think about like the development of a child and as they grow, healthy risk taking is very much a part of their lives. As adults who foster these children, who interact with them through programs and services, healthy risk taking is something we talk about a lot. Well, maybe not a lot, but I mean, it is definitely a component to a healthy development. At what point did we think that changed? When we became adults, what happens? Things get serious. We have budgets. We have people we're accountable to. In your person, if you're an active person, the fear of death and mortality. Like I would never skydive at this point in my life because I don't know how much of my life I got left and I don't feel I need to shorten it with some sort of mishap. So risk taking, don't be afraid to do it. I guarantee you that everybody on this call is responsible enough to take appropriate risks in their work. And that is what we can control. Now, like the driving, and I love this image, and I'm hoping that everyone, because we're all from Alberta, have been here. So we can control how we drive. What we can't control is the weather. So I'm sure all of us at some point have been driving. We've checked 511. We've checked the weather forecast at every point of our journey. And we get on the highway and then bam, you get this. So human aspects are the same. There are things that we can control. They're internal. There are things that are external that we cannot. These items that we cannot control, over my years in mentoring people, in leading people, even in myself, I will admit that these items on this slide, I have heard described as barriers. I have heard described as a pain in the butt. And ultimately, creativity does not do well when you have these things. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to shake out your hands, shake them out, because we've all been sitting a while. And, you know, there's that. Shake them out. Much like when we crushed that box, I want you to crush. No, actually, I don't want you to crush. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of all of the things that you can't control. And I want you to gather them up. And I want you to blow them off of your hands like this. We got to let this stuff go. There are a couple of ways you can look at this. What can't we control? Regulations. We got them. We have been living in a pandemic world. Holy smokes. Have I ever seen people jump out of the gate with creative? In-person interaction, let's face it, FCSS AA, what are we? What we are people. We are about community. We are about interaction. We're about connection. And we have had to completely redefine and become comfortable with what we define as appropriate, not appropriate, but healthy and quality connection. It looks completely different now. So regulations, we can't change them. Accountability, who are we accounting to? We receive funding. And I'm about to say something that may seem a little harsh. I was raised by a very blunt, authoritative mother, so I'm hoping that I don't come off like that. But accountability, we receive funding. We are accountable for the dollars that we receive. So when we talk about outcomes and when we talk about measurements, these are not creativity killers. These are a reality and they're part of our life. And I'm going to say something once I go through each of these points about what we can't control. We already tried to let that go. We know we can't control it. You need to find a place where you're comfortable with that. Budget, simple. I'm not even going to talk about that a whole lot. Depending, I'm not sure with the participants on the call today. Maybe some of you do have an extreme amount of control over your budget, but there may be several people on this line that don't. It's handed down to you. This is what you got. Budget gives you an opportunity to be creative. I will tell you that I ran for many years a program. So it was during the school year, full-time preschool classes, 5 classes, 96 kids. In the off time, not school year, I ran family programming for parents and children with kids birth age to 5. I ran all of that, 5 classes a week, full out, summer programming. And in that summer programming, just so you know, we ran 7 programs a week the one summer, mornings and afternoons, all different. My overall budget for supplies was $2,000. $2,000. What a gift that was, because it laid the foundation in my brain to realize creativity and quality are not linked to dollars always. We can't control the budget. Nobody was going to give me more budget. So I worked with what I had, and I had to get very creative. Public perception. Again, we can't control it. They love you, they hate you. There's people in between. There's people who don't care. What do you do with that? Try not to let it hit home too hard. I mean, we definitely need to address criticisms. If we've run a program and somebody had a concern, yeah, definitely we do that. Your overall public perception of the work that you do in your community, some people are going to like you and some people aren't, and that's okay. You got to get to a place of comfort with that. This is one that I think some people can relate to, and I will be very honest with you. At times, I still struggle with external agencies' actions. So I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you come out with an idea. You're all about the collaboration. You sit around a table of agencies and organizations. You share your idea. You're developing it. You're ready to run this thing in a month. And a week later, some organization took your idea and they're running with it. There was a time, actually, a number of years ago. Holy smokes, I think I might still be a little angry about it. Hold on, let me grab it. I need to let it. There's not enough blowing. Sometimes I can let that stuff go. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm ready to let it go. I kid you not. There was an organization. It was a collaborative meeting. It was a community meeting. And the whole point of it was not to duplicate services in a small community. I kid you not. Not only did they take my program idea, they took the title and they took my description and slapped their logo on it and started running it 2 weeks before my start date. Holy, okay, wait, sorry. I know you're all here to hear things, but I'm just gonna blow that away. I can't control that. Clearly, I haven't dealt with it, but I'm asking you to, do as I say, not as I do kind of deal. I'm kidding. External agencies, it is what it is. There are things that you can do, and this presentation is not about that when it comes to, really healthy collaboration and working with people. I won't get into that. I'm sure you have lots of resources available to you and things that you do now. I just wanted to make sure we saw it. Success. We cannot control success. Can we control the program or the service, content, delivery, quality? Yes. You can have the best thing in place, the absolute best thing in place, but you cannot control the success. If you live in a small community, let's say you plan something, rumor has it, this may have happened. You plan something and it is phenomenal and you know it hits the mark. Man, your ears to the ground. Okay, it was me. It was me. My ear was to the ground. I heard what parents wanted. I've been talking to community members. I planned this thing based off of a lot of feedback from colleagues, from community. I was so freaking excited. And the day comes. It wasn't a pre-register event. And much like when you host a Tupperware party in your house and you're like, oh my gosh, please let somebody come or else I'm buying a lot of Tupperware. Nobody showed up. So nobody showed up because what I didn't know is that there was another activity or event happening at that time that was out of town. And it was a ripple effect. It wasn't just one or two families, it was several. I can't control that. I could have prevented it by being more aware of what this item was, but it was kind of a last minute thing and not advertised. So I was not aware. Sometimes you have success and sometimes you don't. Again, you just simply can't control it. Okay, so I hope you guys are ready. Just maybe give it a little wiggle and shake. Again, if you're feeling a little tight there, we are going to slip on to our next slide. So this lady might be overselling it, but I freaking love the excitement on her face. Extras, what are you talking about? Creativity boosters? You bet. So we'll run through these pretty quick. Some of the things that can help you if you're trying to foster that creativity, if you're trying to grow it. Engage your five senses. What are you hearing? What are you touching? What do you smell? What do you see? And what do you taste? Okay, so the taste makes me chuckle a little because of the diversity in programming. Clearly, if you're going into like a meeting or, I mean, you're not like tasting the table. But so it makes me chuckle. Taste, if you do have food at an event though, what do you taste? Read. Again, I mentioned it earlier, reading, and it does not have to be work related. Fiction, nonfiction, what interests you? I mentioned I am a huge murder mystery fan. I actually am also a really huge young adult fiction fan. You would be amazed at the great books that are out there for that older teen group. They're light reads, they're easy to follow, and usually have some pretty good concepts in them and imagination. It takes me someplace I don't normally go through my workday. Reading can be a huge source of inspiration. In fact, I have an activity at the end of this presentation for you guys that is based off of some stuff I'm reading right now. Be curious. Never stop asking questions. Think of that 3-year-old child. Why? Why? What? Why? Always ask questions. Be curious about what's around you. Don't ever stop questioning. I don't know when we do that, or I do know when we do that. We hit a point, I think, in our lives as adults and through experience where we've been trained or we learned not to question because it was offensive or somebody gets defensive when we question. You want to be careful how you do it, but we stop questioning. So much like creativity, practice the questioning, get curious again, look at something from a new angle. Mind wander. I love this one. So something was pointed out to me a number of years ago. I was having a meeting with the supervisor of preschool programming, and we were talking. And if you've ever sat down and had a meeting with me, sometimes in a creative meeting when we're developing a concept, I actually will stop talking because I live in my head and I will see like images of what I'm thinking of go through my head. The individual I was meeting with said, "You've just had a really good idea, have you?" And I said, "Oh, I think I might. How did you know?" I actually mind wander a lot. I go off on these little paths in my brain And when I do, and I didn't know this, I apparently look up at the ceiling and my eyes move back and forth. And it's because I'm visualizing in my head that concept. I'm putting shape and form to the thought. So mind wander. Sometimes, this is going to shock you. Anybody that knows me, being quiet is good. Yeah, that's right. I have moments where I'm quiet. It's a thing. Just let it roam. Don't try to control it. Don't try to stop a thought. Just let it wander, and it'll bring you where you need to go. I promise you it will. Bringing others into the process. Here's another way to foster creativity. Have you ever considered, and some of you may do it, for those of you who haven't, highly recommend it, bring somebody to the table and into the creative process that has absolutely nothing to do with the work. Nothing to do with the work. Their perspective, it could be helpful, most often is. Sometimes it's not, and that's okay too. It just gives you a different way to look at something, a different angle. So don't be afraid to bring them in. A few years back, we did in town here, I had a concept, an idea. I wanted to run a kids conference. What do kids want to do? Kids want to be adults, right? We spend our whole time as kids wanting to be adults, and then we become adults, and all of a sudden we want to be kids again. But I wanted to give kids an experience. If you've ever run camps, if you've ever run any kind of all-day programming for children, it can be a bit of a challenge. Often you will have a group of your participants that don't want to be there. The parents have put them in, but they don't really want to be there. And then I think we've all been down this road. You've got behavior and your whole day feels like you're just trying to herd cats. I wanted to provide an experience for kids where they wanted to come and they freely chose what they would do with their time in 2.5 days. So kids conference is 2.5 days, and it provides kids with 27 options in 3 streams of learning. Now, huge undertaking. There is no way, and I can be creative, there is no way I could have come up with 27 individual 1-hour sessions for kids running concurrently. It was crazy. So I brought people to the table. We collaborated. My base idea turned into something that was incredibly well received by parents, and even more, the kids loved it. They chose their sessions and they came. But around that table, we brought people to the table. I know what my bag is, right? When it comes to child and youth, what are we talking about? Healthy development. That's what I am. But we brought in a fitness person because in her mind, what is good for children and youth is that fitness perspective. We brought in recreation programmers. We brought in community members about financial literacy with kids. We did a lot of things. Just know bringing others to the table, ultimately, in my mind, and I believe this in my core, can never, ever go wrong. Collaboration and creativity goes from here to here when you include people in your process. There's just, I've never seen it fail. Can it be painful getting from here to here at times? Definitely. But your end result will always be better. Last week, I had to give a presentation and I had the bones of it, right? This is what I had to do through the feedback. And it's something that I'm going to jump ahead to this next one, which is criticism and feedback, because it'll tie in. I created the presentation. I had the bones there, but it's all stuff that lives in my head, which is kind of a mess up there some days. I managed to organize it and put it into the presentation, but I didn't come out of the gate and give that presentation before bringing it through other eyes. Even this presentation today, the presentation last week, I sat down with my manager, Lisa, and I took her through the presentation, and she provided me with some feedback, and together, we developed a very high quality end product that was well received, had great feedback once we presented it. So today, this presentation, my cat actually did not provide a lot of helpful feedback. My daughter's bunny tried to chew the paper copy of the version. I'm happy to report that everybody that works in the same office as me has gone through this presentation, took time out of their day to add their bits of creativity and their feedback to take what it was to what it is right now in front of you. Always bring people there. Criticism and feedback, what do you do with it? Here's your criticism, take it, blow it out of your hand. Man, criticism is the negative stuff. This is the stuff that people say to hurt because they hurt. This is the stuff people say that is mean-spirited. You can't change that. You can't control it. All you can do is choose what to do with it. Creativity will flounder and will not grow when that's what you focus on. Sometimes you just need to let it go. What's the difference between criticism and feedback? When you work with your team, feedback is provided in a very respectful manner. If there's one thing that I can say in any environment, whether that's the team that you work with, and quite honestly, even with yourself, be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up, man. Like we all have good moments and we all have bad moments. When you receive feedback and you give feedback, you want to create a team that is creative. You need to create a team that is comfortable giving feedback. Something else we learn as adults, and I think we start learning it in school, and this by no means is, it's just society and the way it is, whether it was a school club, whether it was a teacher, whether it was a program that you did. Feedback isn't always necessarily something that's welcomed. People will ask for it, but their body language and their response to you when you provide that feedback teaches us through life that people don't really want feedback. Create an environment that welcomes feedback. I can say joining the Greenview FCSS team, I was really nervous, but it is a team. And I have had the opportunity to have meetings with individuals in the Valley View office and of course the people that I work with in our Grand Cache office. And man, what a beautiful free flow of information. People do give feedback. And if they don't like something, they're okay voicing that. And I'm okay hearing it because they respect me enough to do it in a proper way. So feedback, encourage it and grow it. Make sure that you create an environment that welcomes it. That's when you're going to see creativity go from here to here. Because when you remove fear and discipline or fear and discipline from the scenario, scared, your creativity moves. It's a beautiful thing. And it can happen so fast. I'm sorry, I just thought of this. You'd be shocked how fast you can change that dynamic in an environment. Shocked. So criticism and feedback. The last thing that I have on here, and it kind of ties into what we're saying about criticism and feedback, is model the behavior. Much like when you are, if anyone is on this call that works and guides parents or tries to help parents, what's number one thing that we will tell parents when we're talking about helping them guide their child's behavior? Model the behavior. Now, if you're a leader, this is something and a concept that is probably not new to you. If you are an individual that hasn't quite made it to the leader part yet, that's okay too. You're going to get there. I know it because you're going to be super creative after this. But model that behavior with yourself, and the people around you will pick up on it. How you behave, other people will follow. So model the behavior, much like children. Like I said, the behavior you want your child to have, you want your child to be kind, you model kindness. You want your child to be active, you model active in your life. You want your child to be polite, you model polite. This is no different than when you're dealing with a bunch of adults. If I want to have respect, I have to give respect. If I want to have honest feedback, I have to give honest feedback. It's as simple as that. So, physical aspects, woo, get a blanket. Human aspects, control it, don't control it, let it go. All sorts of good information. Creativity boosters. We are going to hop in to another activity. So this activity is not related to, look at that. Do you like the little building block? We're going to add another brick. This activity is not related to what we were just talking about. It's a fairly simple activity. And again, because I'm a visual person, somebody had asked me, well, how do you create something? I had to really think about that. I'm like, how exactly do I create something? Visualization. So again, this is your comfort level. What I'm going to ask you to do is, if you could please close your eyes. And also, if you can see my hair right now, because I keep, you want to close your eyes, trust me. Close your eyes. And I'm going to take you through a little bit of a visualization. This may not be an approach that works for you, and that's okay too. It's all about testing the waters. Let's take a risk together, shall we? I want you to close your eyes. I want you to picture, much like you've been looking, if you can see me, and behind me is a big white wall. If you do need a visual, I'll actually tip to the side. So with your eyes closed, I want you to think about that big blank space. Now what I would like you to do while you have that white image in your mind, it's just a big sheet of white. I want you to think about something you have coming up. It could be a presentation. It could be a service, a Zoom meeting, a program, whatever you have coming up, something you have coming up that you maybe haven't done yet, or something you've wanted to do. I want you to reach out, because that's floating around in the air. I want you to grab that idea. I want you to pull it into your chest. I want you to hold it there, and we're going to make some space for this in our body. We're going to make some space for this in our mind. So you've got it with you. It's on your chest. That white space. Now I want you to start and pull in some elements. Let's start and fill that white space. What do you see? What is your venue? Are you outside? Are you in a room? What does it look like? So now let's pull in another piece. Let's pull in who your participants are, or your coworkers, or the people that will be there with you when you do that project. You can see them. You can see their faces. They may be unknown. It's hard to say. Now you can see them. Are they standing? Are they sitting? Are they comfortable? Oh, and in today's day and age, are they wearing masks? So now we've got our venue. We've got our people. What do they hear? Is there music playing when they come into this activity? Is it quiet? Do you hear them chatting and talking to one another? So what do you hear in that environment? What can you touch? Can you touch something concrete in that environment? Is it your presentation? Is it a notepad? What is with you in that moment? And if you're me, and if you don't mind me being a little silly, I can taste the caffeine. Oh, sweet mercy. I love you, caffeine. All right, I would like you to open your eyes. That is your next presentation. It may need some tweaking, but it's simply a building block on that creativity wall. You're building it up. From there, this is how I do things. Even today, I can tell you, walking over here today, and what I can hear. It's just how I do it. So visualization, you can do that at any time and with anything. You can make it more specific, less specific. Try it with your team. Try it with yourself. It's an activity that you can do on your own. I like to hear prompts. So sometimes I speak out loud to myself. Sometimes I just live in my head. So that is another little activity that you could potentially try in your environment or with yourself to boost your creativity. So now we're going to get into creativity killers. All right. Who are they? What are they doing there? Where do we find them? I would like to talk about a little bit when I refer to these creativity killers. You're going to hear me refer a lot to collaboration and teamwork. At the sake of being, I know it's going to sound redundant, but creativity does work in a collaborative environment, in a group environment. It's a beautiful thing. So when I go through this, they do apply to the individual, but they also apply these creativity killers to a group environment. When you walk in and it's a table of people and you're ready to change the world. So who are they? There are several creativity killers. I have chosen 6. I would like to introduce you to the accountant. Now, the accountant is the individual at the table who, anytime anything is brought up, they are telling you the budget's just not there. How much do you want to spend? Are you kidding me? Is that even reasonable? The accountant. You've seen them. You know they exist. Creativity killer number 2. Get ready for it. It's coming at you. The this again. All right. We've seen that person. I don't know if they were mandated to go to the meeting or if, let's show a little compassion, they've maybe hit a point of burnout and are needing an extra boost of creativity, but it's the, ugh, we got to do this again. Or they could just be a really negative person, which is a whole other thing. And we're not talking about that. But you will see this person when it comes to creativity. What about the bulldozer? Okay, this may shock the heck out of you guys. This one was the very first one I identified. I am, sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. I am a bulldozer. The bulldozer is not mean-spirited, I promise you. I am not. I am a very passionate, high energy, excited person. So when I get an idea and I come in, I'm so excited to share my stuff. Or somebody says something that sparks like a thought in my head, it spills out of my mouth. But what happens is I literally flatten the creativity in that room because I am so excited and busy sharing my thoughts. Nobody else has a time for their thoughts. Ah, the bulldozer. You can ask anybody that has ever sat in a meeting with me that's a thing. The historian. You know this person. I'm going to do it for you right now. Let me do a little role play for you. Really? We tried that in 1997 and it didn't work. The historian. This is the person who brings a lot of value to the table because they do have the history, but they're also a little resistant to trying something again. So the historian can be a creativity killer. The quiet. I alluded to this a little bit earlier. But I got to tell you, never discount the quiet. There are people that take longer to process. There are people that, that I'm somewhat envious of because they think before they speak. That is not always true in Amber's world. The quiet doesn't, they can bring the room down. They can squash creativity a bit because like I said, feedback and collaboration and partnership all makes that creativity just hum with promise. And the quiet, you're like, okay, are they judging me? Is this person just sitting there silently judging me? Do they not want to be here? We make assumptions about quiet people when they're in a group. And the last one that I wanted to highlight is the taskmaster. So the taskmaster, you know this person. So you got an idea. Before you've even fully formed the idea, they are creating the list. They are assigning the tasks to everybody that needs to do them. Gosh darn it, you got a deadline on that thing too. So the taskmaster is somebody that exists in that creativity process that can be very detrimental to the creativity process. Now, I don't know if y'all noticed, but every single creativity killer featured in this presentation is the same person. Thank you, Crystal. Crystal, everybody, this is Crystal Redknapp. She is one of my coworkers. Hi, Crystal. She volunteered, and legitimately, not voluntold, volunteered to be our creativity killer for this presentation. So thank you. The reason I chose one individual is because every single one of these qualities, I believe, exist in us. And maybe some of them don't. I shouldn't make assumption. There are a lot of people on this call, so some of you may not have these qualities in you. I can tell you I do. So there are other creativity killers, but I feel like these are the 6 most common ones that you will find. The question then becomes, what do we do about those pesky creativity killers? Well, we have some choices. One, you can let them run free and wild and be detrimental to your process. Or two, you can embrace them, know that they're there, but give them boundaries. So when you walk into any meeting, when you walk into any collaborative process, or if you sit down at your desk to create something, give those creativity killers some boundaries. Don't let one override the other. So there we have it, creativity killers. What do you do about them? What's up next? What? We're going to do another activity? Yes, yes, we are. So one of the things that they suggest to bolster creativity is looking at things from a different angle. And we're going to try a little bit of that today. So something you take for granted, something that you see commonly or experience commonly, look at it from a different perspective and view it differently. Sometimes that can help boost creativity. We're going to go into some breakout rooms. In each breakout room, you will have 10 minutes. And for this activity, I am actually going to read you a quote from a book that I'm quite enjoying right now. And what this quote is to do is to spark conversation amongst your breakout room. How did it make you feel? What did you think of when you heard it? And is that something that translates into your work? Does it inspire a component that might be something in the work that you're currently doing? And if you're not currently doing, did you get a new idea from it? So to start this off, I'm just going to take a drink of water. There we go. I'm going to read the quote. I'm actually going to read the quote twice so that it kind of sinks in. And then you will enter your breakout rooms. There is no structure or right or wrong in the conversation you're going to have in those breakout rooms. Kind of take this information, just let it flow. What's on your mind? Share with the people that are there. And then when we come back, we will get a little bit of feedback on that and see how that process went for you. So up to you. Open your eyes, close your eyes. I'm going to put the quote up on the screen. If somebody is more comfortable reading it than hearing it, but know that I am going to read it as well. As I said, I'm going to read it twice. And then Melissa, if it's okay, we could get them into their breakout rooms after. That would be fantastic. So here we go. Everything you or I or any other breathing thing has ever put in its mouth or in its nose or soaked in through its skin is hand-me-down space dust that's been around for 13.8 billion years. This wayward matter has been split apart by the sunlight, spread throughout the universe, and come back together again. To breathe is to absorb ourselves in what surrounds us, to take in little bits of life, understand them, and give pieces of ourselves back out. So I'm going to read it one more time. If it's beneficial, sometimes people close their eyes. You don't have to, wherever you're at for comfort. One more time, and then we're going to go into those breakout rooms. Everything you or I or any other breathing thing has ever put in its mouth or in its nose or soaked in through its skin is hand-me-down space dust that's been around for 13.8 billion years. This wayward matter has been split apart by sunlight, spread throughout the universe, and come back together again. To breathe is to absorb ourselves in what surrounds us, to take in little bits of life, understand them, and give pieces of ourselves back out. All right, if we could do the breakout rooms, that would be fantastic.
Just to confirm, do you want 10 rooms still? There's about 3 people per room.
I think 3 people, actually, yeah. I think it allows for more conversation if that's okay.
Perfect. Here we go. Bear with me.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hey, Colleen. Okay, we've got some people still in the main room. I'm not sure if the breakout rooms didn't work or maybe they're not with us anymore. I just had to do a little bit of moving around. Yeah, hopefully. Some groups, I guess, only have 2, but.
Oh, okay.
Oh, big chat.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And we're right on time. So I think this should round out beautifully with that hour and a half.
Perfect. Yeah, it's very fun. Great way to start Friday. Or it's not Friday. It's kind of Friday. Pretend Friday.
Right? Right. It's the fake Friday.
Yeah.
I'll take the fake Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope people enjoy it. Or at the very least have a new way to think about things, right? Even if they walk away with one thing out of the presentation that kind of resonates with them, that to me is a win, right?
Exactly. Yep. It looked like the playlist has a lot of tunes in there.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of saw some of them coming up. I wanted to read them all, but then I didn't want to be distracted, right? Then I'm just reading through the list and like, now I'm going to start sharing all my memories with everybody.
Yeah. Oh, that's
this one time in 1992.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Do they have much time left? Minutes maybe?
4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Perfect. And because the group got a little bit smaller, I think that'll allow us some time for people to share how they felt about that process if they want.
Sure, sounds good.
This book is amazing. Breathe. It's the science behind it. Have you ever read it?
No.
It's actually really interesting it's all about nose breathing, right? We are a society of shallow breathers and we're mouth breathers, but the benefits of using your nose to breathe, from like mental health to weight loss to meditate, it's really actually quite interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, guy's done a lot of research, but
look at that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good book.
Just seeing here. Yeah. So I think it gives them a 30-second warning. Let me just, how do I know that?
I know when I've done breakout rooms before, like I've been in a breakout room, it usually flashes up like a 30-second warning and brings the group back.
It might even be a minute. I can't remember. It's 30 seconds or a minute. Yeah.
Now I have a tickle in my throat. It's like so awful to get a tickle in your throat nowadays.
Especially if you're out shopping.
Right? Or like your mask, like I have reusable masks, of course. And if you get like pet hair in there and it starts tickling, right?
Or just a little fuzzy that tickles your nose and it's like, wow, can I go dig in there to get that little fuzzy?
And then you feel like you need to explain where the fuzz came from to the people. Right? I washed it with this sweater and it was like, and now it's in there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny what our world has become.
You're right. Or when a coworker's like, I don't feel well, you're like, please be the flu. Please be the flu, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know one of my spouse's staff, her husband is really, really sick with like respiratory. And so he went to the doctor and the doctor said, oh, that's got to be COVID. And he got tested and he tested negative. So they're they're not really sure, but like apparently he's very sick. So like maybe we should have another test.
Yeah, I don't think it can hurt.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, living here has been wonderful through this thing. I haven't really felt the impact I think that people do in larger centers.
Yeah.
When the economy shut down, the things that stayed open are the only places I go: the drugstore, the grocery store, the mail. So I don't think feel the impact of the pandemic as much in Grand Cache as some people do in larger centers.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, it's been fine working because we work from home. So we have since, for a year now, but yeah.
Do you kind of wonder though, what that's going to look like? Like before this pandemic, there was, a real problem in society with work-life balance. And now work is in your personal space. I wonder if that's not going to be more prevalent as an issue after this pandemic, because now we've totally crossed over. And we've, if you had a hard time balancing before you brought work home, now your work is in your home.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah. There's not that separation kind of. Yeah. It's too easy. And especially if there's not much to do, it's like, oh, I'll just go check some work emails. And then you just started working again. So yeah.
Right.
About 7 seconds here. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully they come back.
If everyone
hopefully they're not like that Space Matter and Split.
Oh, here we go. Close now. I think people should be coming back.
Perfect.
There'll be a lot of interesting studies after COVID about a lot of different issues, I think.
Oh, completely. Yeah, there will be.
Hello, Amber.
Go back.
Hello.
You're doing fantastic.
Oh, thanks, Amanda.
You actually got in a room now, Amanda, that had people in it?
It was so weird. I was sitting there, I'm like, those cheaters, they say they're on and they're not.
Yeah, I know. I scrolled. I'm like, oh no, Amanda's by herself. Anyhow,
Right.
I think everyone's back now, Amber. So
Perfect.
there you go.
Awesome. So right now, everybody can see me, I think. Yeah, I think so. So I would love to, if you're comfortable, to have people share how they felt about that process. If there's somebody that would, and here's the thing that I would like to say too. It is absolutely okay if you found no value in it whatsoever. Everybody has different things. So is there somebody who would like to share how they felt about that process, and if they think it sparked some creativity?
Well, it's Judy from Lacombe. Hi. I got to chat with Nancy, and poor Samantha, she never was able to join in, so we're not sure what happened to her. But I guess we learned a little bit about each other. That Nancy's from Grand Prairie, and actually a really interesting program, has, I think, 4 other outreach workers that all work in rural locations out there. So
nice.
We got to connect a little once we figured out what we were doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Perfect. Samantha says, oh, Nancy from High Prairie, Big Lakes. Okay. Nice. Would anybody else like to share how they kind of felt about that process? I'll look in the chat here. The quote is a reminder that nothing is really new. What is old is new again. Every idea is recycled. Oh, you know, I really like that actually. And it's true. It's what do we do with those ideas that make them unique when we do bring them back around? Oh, shoot. Someone's mic wasn't working.
I think it was just, I wasn't quite sure what we were supposed to do, but it was just a good conversation starter, really, to get different ideas from different people.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's what we need to do. It's not about an end product so much as starting a conversation, because conversation can take you in those different directions. And next thing you know, you come back around to what you really were trying to do in the first place. So thank you. Thank you for that.
That last one that you said, I think was really good, and it was a lot like what we came up with as well, in that you can draw from the past, present, and the future. You can draw inspiration from all of those things, and the cycle, that it can cycle around. And one of the people, I can't remember whether it was Amanda or not, said, "Do unto others as you would have done unto you." And then there was sort of just the whole collective inspiration, where looking anywhere.
Yeah.
And accepting what's coming at you, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, and when you're looking around, it's the concept. Breath is something we take for granted. It goes in, it comes out, it goes in, it comes out. When we think about air, it's a different way to look at it, like space does. 13.8 billion years. You know, that's part of practicing creativity, is doing activities that may not be related to your work. It's about learning and training yourself to look at things from a different angle. The more that you do that, you'll find that you start to implement it in your daily work practices too. You know, something will be presented to you and all of a sudden you're looking at it from a different angle. It's just about having some fun, right? And I love it when there's stuff that's like no right or wrong answer. I do really well in a world where there's no right or wrong answer.
And I do think that the whole concept of creativity has to play more and more into our stressed out pandemic lives. We're seeing such an increase in mental wellness calls in our community, and so the element of creativity is a way out, and so encouraging that creativity at all levels is just proving to be very helpful for most folks.
Yes, thank you for that, David. I agree, and that's one of the reasons that I was thankful I was able to do this presentation.
Right.
Because, and you're saying what I'm seeing. We're wearing out, and you know, just put a little bit of life and fun back into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for that feedback.
Right.
Deb had mentioned in our group that that, you know, it was like recycling. And I had said that, you know, in a sense, all of our programs are recycled. We learn from them, we revamp them, we reuse them, because we're still, you know, trying to hit those marks and help those specific people. But we just learn from everything that's going on. And like David said, with everything that with our stress and I guess the crisis and worry over the pandemic has changed the way that we're doing our programming and recycling things, making them newer and better.
Mm-hmm. Well, that piece about taking it in and understanding it, right? We do that. We do something, then we take it in and we understand that experience, and then we bring it back out again, better than when it went in.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Thanks for that, Amanda. Thank you. Would anybody else like to add to what they thought of that little activity? All right. I have great news for you all. Great news. You've done it. You have made it through the whole presentation. I really hope that you walk away today, even if you walk away with one thing that made you think a little differently or put a little pep in your step, even if it's just one thing, I'm going to take that as a huge win. It's out there, and this group of individuals is such a powerhouse of creativity and care. I look forward to seeing the work continue through FCSSs across this province. It's amazing to me how many lives, how many Albertans we touch in a year. Okay, well, that sounded wrong, but help in a year. It's COVID. We don't touch anybody anymore. That's not a thing. So, you know, I realize that it is a Thursday. I don't want to keep people here too long. As you're going into a long weekend, you probably got some things to do. Oh, thank you. I will, if you guys are comfortable with it, I think we're okay to say goodbye. And remember, there will be a recording of this session, but that music playlist, we will also be sending out summary notes and that playlist so that you'll be able to look at some of the stuff inspiring fellow FCSSers. Thank you so much, everyone.
I just want to say a big thank you to you, Amber. I know you put a lot of work into this, and I so appreciate it, sharing your passion and your creativity with us. And it just goes to show, if anyone has an idea of something you want to share with your colleagues, please let us know, and we're happy to do that, because this is the way we learn and grow and gets our minds going. And I look forward to that playlist, and everyone have a wonderful long weekend. Take care.
You.
You too. Bye. Take care.